Hey, Algebra, we are going over CO27, graphing an equation in point-slope form. As long as we're graphing, we might as well take this opportunity to review slope-intercept form as well, okay? Because both forms give us valuable information about what the graph of the line is going to look like. Different information, but valuable nonetheless, okay? Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. What are the two things that slope-intercept form tells us about the graph of the line? Whereas if you look at the equation, you're able to determine this information, which is going to allow you to graph it. Caitlin, give me one thing. The slope. Okay, that's that m variable. Tristan, what's the other thing? The y-intercept. That's the b variable, right? Okay, and you can graph an equation in slope-intercept form by knowing the y-intercept and by knowing the slope, right? Because you begin with the y-intercept, it's a point on the line, and you use the slope to find the second point. Point-slope form, which looks very different from slope-intercept form, still has some of the same components in it, right? Still has the m, it still gives us slope. But instead of the y-intercept, what does point-slope form give us? Yeah, a specific point on the line, and that point is somewhere in space. Okay, it's not on the y-axis, right? It's like 3, 2, or -4, 7, or someplace else. Okay, and that comes from the x1, y1 values. Okay, and it gives us a specific point that is not the y-intercept. But when we have that point, we can then use the slope to find other points and make our line. Okay? So the value point slope form is that when your y-intercept, like we talked about yesterday, is like -0.78. Well, you can't really graph -0.78 very accurately, right? So we get a point that we can plot accurately, and then use the slope to get another point and keep things moving along. Okay? Questions on the difference between those two forms? Yes?
How does that give you a specific point?
Because whatever the value for x1 and y1 are, we know that that ordered pair is going to be on the line.
Oh, I guess.
Okay? It might make more sense once we actually do it, okay? But that's where that specific point comes from, your values for x1 and y1. All right, let's go. The first one given to you is in slope-intercept form. So part of this is recognizing what is my form and how do I use it. Slope-intercept form, we know that it gives us the b value, right? So we're going to start at -2. This point is on the y-axis at -2. And then our slope of 3, which we can think about as 3 over 1, right? We use that to get a second point. We go up 3, right 1, and there we have it. Okay? That should be review of last unit CO23 slope-intercept form. Okay? The next one now, point-slope form, does not give us the y-intercept. Okay? We need to use this specific point instead. So point-slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We talked about that specific point coming from our x1 and y1 values, right? What are our values for x1 and y1 in this equation? Sam?
Oh, never mind.
Leah?
-4.
So again, be careful here, right? Because those subtraction signs are part of the formula. So when we say -1, does this sign belong to the 1? In the formula, yes. But in the ordered pair, that 1 would have to be positive. Okay? Because this subtraction sign belongs to the formula. In the ordered pair, that 4 would have to be positive. Because this subtraction sign belongs to the formula. So the ordered pair that we can extract from point-slope form in this instance is +1, +4. Okay? That's where it gets a little bit confusing, right? Just like, wait, it's the opposite? Yes, it's the opposite. The sign that you see in the formula is the opposite of what the value is in the ordered pair. Okay? So we're going to plot that point 1, 4. Again, it's not on the y-axis, but that's okay. This is point slope form, not slope intercept form. And then using that slope of up 2 over 1 to get our second point, right? That doesn't change. The slope is still a slope. It's still the m. Everything's fine there. We think about it as 2 over 1. And now we have our line. All right? Questions on your first experience graphing in point slope form? Maddie.
So why does this always happen? I swear, I'm so done with asking questions.
Why does what always happen?
I always forget.
Oh, you should write it down first. The next one, Will Whiteford. Are we dealing with slope-intercept form or point slope form? Slope-intercept form, right? And we recognize that because it's y by itself, right? Y equals mx plus b. So this one is more like what you're used to. We use that y-intercept, that positive 4, okay, on the y-axis. Now our slope, -5 over 1, right? Down 5, right 1, and we've got our line there. Okay, but we had to recognize it was in slope-intercept form, so we knew the information was given to us. Yes, Maddie, go ahead quickly.
Okay, so on the test,
yes,
would you want us to convert it to slope-intercept form, the point slope form?
To graph it?
No, just okay. So you wouldn't need to.
No.
Okay,
No.
I was just making sure.
Yes, correct. Nope. If it's given to you in point slope form, graph it using point slope form. Okay. The next row, we start with point slope form, and we know it's point slope form because of the form it's in, I suppose. Okay. And what's the ordered pair that we're extracting here? Pay attention to those signs. Remember the relationship. Paul. 1, -3, right? 1, -3. And the reason why the 1 is positive is because this subtraction sign is part of the formula, right? 1 is the value of the ordered pair. That y plus 3, remember how we got there? We have the subtraction sign from the formula, but because it's a plus sign, it means that our value is negative. Right? I didn't even write there. It means our value is negative, right? In order to get this y plus in the formula, we would have been having to subtract a negative number. Meaning this negative number is part of the ordered pair. Okay? It goes back to, Tristan, that opposite. Oppositivity is what we call that. Okay, write that word down. Oppositivity. Okay, the oppositivity of the formula is how we get that -3. Okay, so 1, -3 is where we plot our first point. That's going to be down here. We use our slope, which is still that m value, still that 3/4, right? To go up 3 over 4. 1, 2, 3 over 4. And here we have our line. Okay. Now just look at this. Does this line cross the y-axis at a nice, round, even integer value? No, it does not. And that's the value of point slope form. If you were to convert this into slope-intercept form, you'd find that what your y-intercept is a fraction.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Which can be difficult to plot. That's why we have point slope form. We can easily plot 1, -3. We can easily use the slope to find our second point. Okay? So the value of point slope form is when your y-intercept is a fraction, we've got another way. Right? The next one's in slope-intercept. That's review. We'll skip that one. Let's go to the last one. Y plus 2 equals -1/10 times x plus 6. And if you think about the formula, to get this y plus 2, the formula would have had to read y minus -2. And to get that x plus 6, the formula would have had to read y minus -6. So when you extract that ordered pair, what's it going to be? Maddie.
-6 and
-6, -2. Okay? Again, the oppositivityness of the formula. Write that down. Oppositivityness. Okay? The sign you see in the formula is the opposite of what the number is going to be in the ordered pair. Right? So we see that +6 in the formula, it's a -6 in the ordered pair. We see the +2 in the formula, it's a -2 in the ordered pair there. So we plot that point, -6, -2. That's right here. Our slope, -1/10, is going to bring us all the way over there. And again, you'll see that this line does not pass, that was horrible, but the line does not pass through the y-intercept at a nice even point, okay? Thus, the benefit of point slope form. Wow. Not a good line at all.
I can do that. It's okay.
I bet you can. Like I said, that day that we did connect the dot in kindergarten, I was absent. I never quite understood it. So now I just struggle through. Should have been a power objective.
You just have to rotate it.
Yeah, I know it should be easy, but I didn't. It wasn't a power objective for me. I never was held accountable for it. I never passed it. I was gone.
I know, same for me.
I never learned it. Right? That's why I've got power objectives. I wasn't held accountable.
It's not
Okay, I got one.
All right, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, compliments, congratulations, criticisms. Nick,
the last 3 questions. Yeah, on the back.
on the back side?
Yes.
Any questions on what we have here so far? Then we'll take a look at the second page. Realtor around us. Okay, looking at the second page, which is going to be your homework for, well, tomorrow. I do see you. More graphing in either slope-intercept or point-slope form. We've got a mixture of them, so you need to decide, is it in point-slope form? Is it in slope-intercept form? What's my best method to go here? The last 3, your directions are for each graph below, write the equation of the line in point-slope form. What do you need to write the equation of a line in point-slope form? Caitlin? The slope and?
A specific point on the line.
A point. Does it matter which point?
No.
No. Any point on the line. So when I look at this, I'm going to look for, where do I have a point? I've got a point. It passes through the corner of a square at -2, 2. Right? Could I also use 4, -1? Sure. Could I use 6, -2? Why not? Right? As long as it's a point on the line, it's good. But now to put this in point-slope form, I also need the slope. So it looks like to get to my next point, I'm going down 1/2. So my slope is -1/2. I've got my specific point. So now going into point-slope form, which again, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I plug in my y1 value, which is +2. The subtraction sign is part of the formula, right? So y minus 2 equals my slope, -1/2 times x minus -2. But instead of minus -2, I'm going to write +2, right? So that should be your final answer. Nick, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just want to.
Okay. Anything else from the page? Other things you're wondering? Okay, this is homework for tomorrow. Let's end the 2022 with a number game. Can we do that? Leah? One per skill level up.
When did we get our repetition?
Wait, so if you,
I know. After break, January 3rd, I promise. I promise. I pinky swear. I pinky swear.
I'm chopping off that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you can have it.
Yeah.
Done. All right, that's how you math.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.